Good morning and welcome to the David and David on Real Estate podcast. We are today on podcast number 177, and we're absolutely thrilled and honored to have July Ono back in the studio to share more wisdom on creating passive income, creating wealth using real estate. July Ono, welcome back to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
And July, the other thing that stands out is that, when you're talking about creating value and servicing your clients, like what better value can you really create as a realtor than helping your clients build wealth, than helping them solve their financial goals, taking them on that journey and a path of financial freedom, whether they want to go on more vacations, whether they want to buy a dream sports car, or they want to put their kids through college, whether they want to quit their 9 to 5, whether they want to retire early. If you're solving those kind of problems for your clients, um, you're making a difference. You're moving the needle. You're adding massive value to their lives. All of a sudden, you have something to say on social media. All of a sudden, you have a story to tell in your newsletter. All of a sudden, your
Ah,
marketing isn't, look at this beautiful kitchen, look at this beautiful pool, or just listed or just sold. All of a sudden, you're connecting, you're resonating, you're helping you're serving at a higher level. Why, as a broker owner, as a co-founder of the Real Estate Investment Institute, this is what I'm trying to preach on an everyday basis to the industry, to every realtor, to as a higher level of service.
well, when I first started my newsletter, I was not an expert. So what I did was I just started sharing my learning experiences. And just because, let's face it, no one wants to be out there being vulnerable. Everyone wants to be perfect on the outside. And I'm like, no, we're all flawed. We all have areas where we're ignorant. And so I'm going to share my real estate journey with you. All the things that people will, there's a lot of vicarious learners, right? They don't want to be in the spotlight, and they kind of live your life through you, because that was part of my I used to be a professional actor for about a decade. And so my boss, he just loved hearing about the auditions and the sets that I would be on. He would live my acting life vicariously through my stories. And I'm like, well, you know what, I'm sure there's lots of people who are curious about real estate and what it takes, and this would be really great platform to show them how much work actually goes in to learning, becoming more professional and personal development, what it takes, going out to seminars and meeting people. And that's why we always have pictures of me with the speaker or their book. And here I am at this event, and just a link to what I found, the one thing the one takeaway. So wherever I go, I will find value in at least one thing, and actually apply it in my life. Just one little thing, because you just simply can't do everything that someone professes. And eventually, I'm starting sharing all this stuff, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. So as I'm learning the 7 profit centers in real estate, I'm sharing it in my newsletter. And so I'll do the first profit center, which is equity, day one. That's a criteria for a real estate investor. And a realtor needs to know this. I'm not going to overpay for something. I have to have equity on day one. And so I have to find value in something. And so I'm explaining what equity day one is, my newsletter, and some ancillary things. And then that means they have to stay tuned for the next episode, to find out what's equity in a profit center number 2, which is leverage. And unlike stocks, you can't put 20% down to buy a stock. They make you pay 100% cash. And I'm not talking about margin trading, because most people don't know how to do that, and I don't recommend it unless you're an expert. And so, when you're doing a 20, let's go 25% down, because that's 1/4. I can do that. So when you're looking at your yield on something, like, this is what most people do, like the commercial people on a radio or newsprint. They're saying they're comparing an interest yield on a bond with real estate yield. I'm going, you can't do that. A bond has no leverage. So it's based on 100% of the cash value, you're getting your yield. But the moment you compare it with a real estate yield, you have to know what it was leveraged. So if at 25% down and 75% carrying costs, you're getting 4 times the yield. And so the less down payment, the more the returns leverage. So I'm driving down the highway and I'm listening to this radio announcer. It's like, that's wrong. You can't compare the yields. There's so much more because the yields are multiplied in real estate. And this is, I think, a concept that a lot of people, including mortgage brokers and realtors, miss.
Right. So July, why aren't realtors taught this in school?
Oh, absolutely not. No one
But
teaches this
why? But
stuff.
why? Like it's so. I mean, I'm not going to say it's simple, but there are seven profit centers, and when you own real estate, you're building wealth almost on autopilot, if I may be so bold to say that. So why are realtors not taught this in school?
The reason why they're, and this is, it's a perpetual cycle, by the way. If the teacher instructor doesn't have personal experience, how can they teach it? Right? If we're all just going to the same school of thought and there is nothing outside the box, how can you know it? The reason why I got out of my box, I found someone who's already teaching it outside the box. And I figured, and he was a role model. If he could become a millionaire in less than 2 years, then I can. And I simply made that my goal. If he can become a millionaire in less than 2 years, I'm going to try it. I didn't think it was possible, actually. I thought I got 40, I'm, 35 years old, I'm $40,000 in debt. Oh, it's going to take me another 40, like 40 years to get there. But he said, July, is it possible for you to become a millionaire? Just possible, 1 in a million. I said, okay, fine. Yes, it is possible. He just wanted me to at least accept the possibility, even though it's 1 in a million, that I could. And then, sure enough, I have my 10-year vision, which would be a millionaire on or before a date. You have to be very specific with your dates, by the way. And so I said, I am a net millionaire on or before November 26, 2010. And I made that goal on November 26, 2001. And my other goal was I have zero credit card debt on or before November 26th. You see what I'm doing here? If I say now, my brain's going, no, you're not a millionaire. You're not debt free. But if I can say I'm going to be debt free on or before this date, well, yes. And then I own my own house, mortgage free on or before. And sure enough, and then the $2,000 per month net cash flow, that was my big criteria to retire. I needed that money to just step away from my work. And then I could focus as a full-time real estate investor. And so the very first deal that I did was my fourplex. And it retired me, that one deal. And that's the beginning of my 50-50 joint venture classic partnership. And that's what I taught a lot of my students, because if you can do the sweat equity, that's my 50%. And I just need to partner with a money person who doesn't have the time to look around for real estate deals. And so that partnership is 50-50. We split the equity appreciation, we split the cash flow, but the original seed money belongs to the investor. So we had a plan, hold for 5 years, or we discuss, do we continue for another 5 years? Do we decide to sell the entire portfolio, or do we refinance? So there's three options. And this property I picked up for a fourplex, can you believe? For $186,000. That was a lot of money for me because I didn't have the $48,000 down payment, but I did have an investor who simply wrote a line of credit check, and because it was just sitting around doing nothing, and he wanted to be able to utilize unused equity and get it working for him. He understood this already. He was a businessman, and like that, he said, "You keep all the cash flow, July. I want you to become a full-time real estate investor and look for more properties." And that's what I did. Then 2.5 years later, I got an unsolicited phone call, a realtor saying, "Hey, are you the owner of this property?" And she said, "I have investors that would like to buy it." I go, "Oh." So the first thing is she said, "How much would you like to sell it for?" And I already knew you never say that. You always answer a question like that with a question. And so my question to her was, "How much are your buyers interested in buying it for?" And so she mentioned a price, $365,000, which my jaw dropped to the floor. I'm going, oh, because I thought 20% increase, from 186 to 250,000 max. I had no idea it was over 300,000 by this time. And good thing was on the phone, because if she saw my face, she would have known that it was way more than I expected. And so my answer was, I have a joint venture partner. I need to discuss this with him. And so gave him a call going, did you know this fourplex is now worth $365,000? And we decided to liquidate, because at the time we had a lot of smaller holdings. We had like 2 condos and 2 townhouses and 2 fourplexes and a nineplex in BC and Alberta. And so we decided to liquidate it all and go into into multifamily, because it's like, why not? Why are we buying? Like, he just bought 2 retail townhouse condos, retail. He found out that this company bought them for $15,000 a door. Oh, isn't that crazy? Way back 20 plus years, like, yeah, long time ago. And they would convert the whole building into condos, and then they'd sell it for, I think they sold it for $60,000 a door. So,
Wow.
so he was saying to me, I want to buy wholesale. Let's go find an apartment and buy it ourselves. So that was the start of our journey. And that's another topic, by the way, of how the realtor that we partnered with rolled his commissions into the building as a stakeholder, and eventually basically got retired that way, because it's ongoing cash flow. It's not just a one-off commission. You're always chasing the commission. But if you can have an ongoing source of passive income that pays you every single month, and is growing in value at the same time. That's the goal. That's why I have really happy investors. I have serial investors. They've invested in I have investors who've been in every single deal to this day, over 20 years worth, because they see the value that you provide. And once you become a trusted authority, why would they go anywhere else?
So
So
I think
that's a
the answer to David's question about why aren't agents taught to work with investors, it seems like they've got the wrong teachers. Like they've got people, that's saying if you can't do, then teach. So they're getting people that are maybe the unsuccessful realtors that have time and they got to fill and they want to earn some money. So they're the ones teaching the agents, and they're teaching them how to go from home to third and then back and do it again to get to third, instead of having someone like you there, July, who teaches them how to go all around the bases and get back home. So I think they've got the wrong teachers.
There's a lot of pay it forward, by the way, because I'm not expecting value from a specific person. It's all about giving. It's all about giving. And so it's a form of tithing, always looking out for adding value to other people's lives. How can I make their life easier, better, more fulfilling? And sometimes it takes sacrifice. And I created seminars. So I knew that I was going to be syndicating apartments, and I needed to find a larger database of investors. But how am I going to do that? I'm going to start educating people. So everything that I'm learning, I'm going to teach them. And I know this, most students that are real estate investor students in my class, they didn't want to be active real estate investors. It's a lot of work. You have to have a certain temperament for it. And so eventually I just said, if you're not actively doing the real estate investing, that means you don't do it. Don't try to force yourself. Partner with someone who loves to do it. And then if they have certain skills, like administrative skills and like being behind the scenes, know that about yourself. Partner with someone who needs that particular skill. Because not everyone wants to go door to door. I did. I love talking to neighbors. They love talking about other neighbors. It's interesting the information that you get when you're talking to people. They just give away everything. Like the remember back when we had the pot houses, the marijuana houses, right? And so I would see these amazing listings for so inexpensive. And I'm going, what's, and it's like, red flag, what's up with this house? So I would go down the street, I walk down the street, and I would stand in front of a house that's for sale. And then I'm walking, and then sure enough, there's neighbors out there. Hey, hi. Oh, and they're saying, I see you're looking at that house. Well, yeah. Can you tell me anything about it? And this is, yeah, just last month, the whole place was surrounded by police cars. So they just want to tell you the story. And all this stuff came out of the house. So guess what the owner did? Gutted the house. Because it says on the listing, completely new electrical, completely new plumbing, it's like, who does completely new electrical, right? And so there was no disclosure about the marijuana house, and you have to have that disclosure, and therefore the neighbors will tell you.
July, I think you could have helped them grow better marijuana plants if you just told them to change the soil.
Said that to me before, and now it's legal, but still,
Uh,
there's always that's why I learned that people are really full of interesting things to, and that's why I love having people in my database, and I've loved training people. And so if that's not your personality, actually look at what your profession, what you're doing, because realtors are educators. They should always be educating their clients, not just a client. They should be educating their lawyer, the legal team. They should be educating the insurance broker. They should be educating property managers, because too often we assume a professional advisor actually knows what they're doing. And in my experience, they don't. There's a lot, because there's gaps in their knowledge base, there's gaps in their experience base. And so that's why I don't assume a particular person actually knows what to do, especially when I'm closing. So you expect a realtor to know the close date. That's a really basic thing. But I've had experiences where they've forgotten the completion date. They're so
so Joy,
busy.
I think we've established that there's a big gap in education, right? But what would you say to our listeners who are mostly realtors? How would you convince them that it's worth taking the time and actually investing in the right education to get to know the investor space? Like what would be like a rock solid argument? How would you convince a group of real estate agents that they absolutely need to take it upon themselves to make this investment in their education?
I did teach between 2006 and 2009. It was during the subprime crisis. Everything was going up fast, and I refused to overpay for properties. And the majority of the cohorts in that classroom were real estate agents and mortgage brokers, the majority of them. And they knew the value of, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. July seems to have the keys. I would do free seminars in every once a month. Every month, I would do a seminar in Richmond, Vancouver, Burnaby, and Surrey. I had a circuit, and it was just to get the word out. I'm doing these seminars. If you want to join, please do. So, well, part of my value system that was my marketing budget. I would go, instead of putting in newspaper, I would have these seminars, and I put out to my database, invite your friends, just come out. And I had a consistent turnout at these every single week. And I'm creating value by, what are the 7 deadly sins of real estate investing? What are the 7 things people do wrong? And that was packed. Everyone wants to know, what am I doing wrong? What are the millionaire success strategies? And these are all things that I learned in the courses and workshops that I took. So I would just distill it down to the most key points and reteach it. And that's how you learn faster, by becoming a teacher.
Mhm.
So so part of my training, I was trained by the best, and it's called accelerated learning. So I would actually put the students into an actual teaching role. We go into triads, and so you have 2 people sitting and 1 person doing this the presentation. You have like 2 minutes, and in that 2 minutes, the 2 people watching will critique you. They'll critique your voice, your body language. Are you fidgeting? Are you centered? Are you actually paying attention and connecting? Because most people are not doing any of that. They're all self-centered. It's all about me. It's not about you. And part of teaching is I'm always interested in what is David's goal? Like, why are you looking for this? And sometimes your goal could be wrong, and we're all looking at the wrong thing. So I like to stop and just check with you, going, why are we looking at this property? What is it about it that you like? And so when I first started, it was cash flow. I don't care how pretty it is. I just want the cash flow. And so this is the criteria. If it's not, don't bring it to me. And unfortunately, lots of realtors still bring me the same old, same old. I don't know what it is. I'm giving you the criteria. And if they keep doing it, I just stop using them because they're not listening to my needs and they're not asking the right questions. And so it's like, that means they're not curious about me or my needs. All they're interested in is their commission. And it's very evident. So I can tell within the first like 2 minutes of a conversation whether they're going to be successful or not. Like, really, if I'll make it as a realtor. And I have a lot of, you probably see a lot of the diamond realtors, they do real estate different than the people that come along. That's why they're the diamond realtors. They're the 1%. And I know a lot who do business by referral only. They don't have to do advertising of any kind. It just simply comes to them. And that's the kind of business most realtors are looking for, but it takes a plan. And if I don't see a realtor who's actually written a long-term plan, they're not going to make it because that means they're winging it. I have a written plan since 2001, and I stay in a business coaching program to this day to keep me on track, to always be purposeful and intentional. Because if you don't have a system, you're going to lose structure. And I see that most people have no structure in how they run their lives, let alone their businesses. That's a key thing. And I know it all sounds very boring. Oh, I got to make a plan. Yeah. Because if you don't have a plan written down, life is going to dictate you and take you wherever. So it's like, would you get on a plane with no destination? Would you
Yeah.
get on a boat and not know where you're
Especially in
going
our
to?
industry, right? Like, I mean, realtors, one phone call can change your whole schedule in the drop of a hat. And it's so easy to be living phone call to phone call, day to day, working in your business, in the trenches, not on your business, which is something that David Corman and I advocate all the time.
Excellent.
July, that was amazing. Thank you so much for enlightening us with your wisdom. What a great conversation. And please reach out to David Corman and I. If you do, we will be sending you a copy of July's book, which is amazing. It's called The 7 Profit Centers, 184 pages of wisdom where July shares how you can make money using real estate on autopilot, and really dives deep and peels back the layers. So please reach out to David Corman, reach out to myself, and we will happily share that book with you. Thank you so much for joining in. And July, it was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you for inviting me, guys.